Hello dear students, today my topic is the parable of the Sadhu. A sense parable is defined as a simple story used to illustrate a moral or spiritual lesson. A parable conveys a meaning indirectly by the use of comparison, analogy, or the like. A sense a moral dilemma is a conflict of morals, where you are forced to choose between two or more options and you have a moral reason to choose and not choose each option. No matter what choice you make in these situations, you always end up compromising some moral value. Since this case brings about the debate of an individual versus the group ethic, superordinate, subordinate goals and leadership. Case facts. Since author McCoy was on a 6-month sabbatical. Since he along with his friend Stephen were on once-in-a-lifetime trip to Mukhlanath, a place in Nepal for which they had to cross a 18,000 feet pass over a crest. Since they were camping at 14,500 feet where they were joined by 4 New Zealanders, a Swiss couple, and a Japanese hiking club. Since the New Zealanders left first, followed by Stefan and McCoy with their porters and Sherpa, followed by the Swiss, and the Japanese. Since they were resting at 15,500 feet with Stefan suffering altitude sickness, also some porters were suffering from the height. Since the New Zealanders found a half-naked Sadhu in the mountains. Since the New Zealander asked McCoy to help the Sadhu as they had porters and went back to join his team, as McCoy found that the Sadhu was suffering from hypothermia but he was alive. Since Stephen and the Swiss couple immediately clothed Sadhu. Since McCoy the Swiss couple left soon after, leaving Stephen alone with the Sadhu and some of the porters. Since Stephen asked the Japanese to help shift the Sadhu to a village down below as the Japanese team had a horse with them, the Japanese refused but gave Sadhu some food and left. Since Stephen asked the Sherpas to carry the Sadhu to the hut but they also refused as they thought it was not possible to shift the Sadhu to a hut below and cross the crest before the snow melted. Since they didn't know whether the Sadhu lived or dead. Case recount. One New Zealander came staggering with a body to dump the almost naked, barefooted Sadhu at McCoy's feet and left 3. McCoy took his pulse. Stephen and 4 Swiss gave outer clothings for McCoy took off, leaving the Sadhu with Stephen. 5 Stephen attempted to help the Sadhu but was suffering from altitude sickness. 6 Japanese refused to transport the Sadhu down to the hut with their horse. 7 Sherpas carried Sadhu down to a rock at 15,000 feet. Japanese gave the Sadhu food and drink. 8 Sadhu was last seen throwing rocks at dogs. Fate of Sadhu unknown. Why is the incident so important and memorable for McCoy? Doesn't know the final outcome. Lessons about the corporate world was learned. Breakdown between individual ethic and corporate ethic. No one was willing to take responsibility for the Sadhu. Each was willing to do his bit as long as it was not too inconvenient. No person willing to assume ultimate responsibility. We all stopped and gave aid comfort. Everyone did his bit. You have just described the typical affluent Westerner's response to a problem. Throwing money, in this case food and sweaters, as it, but not solving the fundamentals. Stephen, where is the limit to our responsibility? No one on the mountain was willing to commit himself beyond a certain self-imposed limits. Hiker's decision factors. What right does an almost naked pilgrim who chooses the wrong trail have to disrupt our lives? Sense unexpected and unwanted event. Sense Sadhu should be blamed for his predicament. Ain't my problem attitude. Sadhu could have chosen a safer route. At the apex of one of the most powerful experiences of our lives, some years the pass is so bad no one gets over it. Personal goal versus moral obligation. Since once in a lifetime experience. Where is the limit of our responsibility in a situation like this? Each was willing to do his bit just so long as it was not too inconvenient. When it got to be a bother, everyone just passed the buck to someone else and took off. Unwillingness to go beyond their capabilities. Sense pushing responsibilities to each other. Sense no shared values in the group. Follow the majority. Sherpas decision factors. Sherpas believed they could not carry a man down 1,000 feet to the hut, reclimb the slope, and get across safely before the snow melted. Understand the climate and route better and see the need not to delay any longer. What the Sherpas would have done if the Sadhu had been a well-dressed Nepali, or what the Japanese would have done if the Sadhu had been a well-dressed Asian, or what you would have done if the Sadhu had been a well-dressed Western woman. Discrimination. Sense dressing. Sense gender. Sense nationality. Individual versus group ethic. Stress is the real test of personal and corporate values. Not every ethical dilemma has the right solution. It is essential that managers agree on a dealing with the dilemmas. Process 4. The group reacted instinctively as individuals. The cross-cultural nature of the group added a layer further of complexity. Ethical choice, immediate response, decision to act, action implementation together, not developing consensus. Group reaction as individual under stress. Cross-cultural group, no leader identified, only Stephen, but not support. Should have mutually accepted shared value. Members need to have preconceived notions. Correct behavior or business ethics. Parallel to business situations, failure to act was a decision in itself. Managers come up with answers to problems. Organizations that do not have mutually accepted shared values tend to become unhinged during stress. Preconceived notion of correct behavior plus business ethic plus think of it as a positive force, not a constraint. Effective managers cannot run away from risk, need to confront, deal with the risk. Notion of shared value agreed on process to be at the heart of ethical issues. Need leaders to understand, interpret to manage corporate value system. Need effective managers, who are action oriented, conflict resolving, tolerance of ambiguity, stress, change, strong sense of purpose of themselves. The organization, one can fulfill the need for individual success along with group support, corporate support. Without corporate support, individual is lost. The lesson individual requires deserves support of the group. With support forthcoming, individual can contribute to the success of the group. Management's challenge is to be sensitive to individual needs, to shape them, direct focus them for the benefit of the group as a whole. Some questions are here to discuss about the case.